Hello, hello to all my lovely friends. Good evening. Tonight I thought I might share with you some of my top tips for a smoky eye. So as you no doubt have noticed, I have one eye smokied and one eye that has just, all this eye's got on it is a bit of eye primer and a little bit of foundation, just normal foundation, no concealer or anything as yet. So I thought I'd share some tips for getting a great smoky eye, because it's something that probably quite a few people talk to me about, like changing things up from a daytime look into an evening look. And I think a smoky eye, it can be a bit daunting sometimes because there's a lot of dark colours going on and you think, oh, that is really scary. But I'm going to share with you all of my top tips, and hopefully you can all give it a go at home and make it super easy. So number one top tip, I've already shown it to you, is a primer of some sort, any sort. So I've got a specific eye primer. I've only recently got this. Usually I just use a general face and eye primer. But what that's going to do is make your makeup look better. So it's going to make your colours stand out more. It's going to make your makeup last longer. It's going to make it easier to apply, smoother to apply. So it's like win, 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 win. Definitely need a primer if you want to get the best effect. Okay, so we're going, we've primed, we've just popped a little bit of, hi Sarah, just popped a little bit of like a base coat on with some foundation there. And then what we're going to do is, I think one of probably the biggest mistakes, and I've definitely been guilty of this in the past, definitely, is going straight in with the colours that you want to use. But actually what you need to use is something called a transition colour. So this is basically where you build your colours up. So you don't go straight in with your dark colours, with these colours that you can see here. You use your transition colours, and that helps to give you that gradient sort of look. So for my transition colours, I'm going for, let me find the right one, palette 3. I'm starting off with Determined here, okay? So I'm just gonna grab a brush and I'm gonna go with that, where's the right brush I wanna use? There. Gonna go with that all over my lid and then up into my crease. Okay. So you just want to go up and you want to use like a sweeping motion, but be quite light. Your eye area is very sensitive. So pressing harder doesn't mean you'll get more colour. I'll show you some little tricks for getting more colour onto your eye in a minute. So you just want to sweep across the eye, right into the corner, right across. So you can see this colour is only slightly darker than like a nude colour for me. So you want to start out with something fairly subtle and just sweep it across like that. Okay. And then you want to go to something, I'm going to use two transitional colours because I've gone quite dark here. So I'm going to go for another slightly darker transitional colour, which is this one here, Honourable. This is from palette 2. But just take a look at what colours you've already got and see if there's ones, you're basically looking for like 3, maybe 4 colours that are the same kind of shade and tone, but just get gradually darker. Obviously we have these fantastic palettes, which have, like you can see here, they shade from light to dark. Oh, hi Mum. I need some smoky eyes. You come to the right place then. Yeah, so again, you're just doing like a windscreen wiper, I think I like to call it. Backwards and forwards, all over the lid, okay? Don't worry too much about what happens down here for now, because we're gonna sort that out in a minute, so don't worry about that too much. But what you just wanna do is get the colour on nicely, and oops, and worry more about the fact that it's nice and settled around there, okay? So those are our transitional colours. And just as you're building the colour up, remember that you can put more colour on, but you can't take colour off. So start slowly. So as soon as you go in with any kind of a darker colour, just put a little bit on, and then you can build it up. Yeah, definitely, Sarah. Start with the lighter colours first and then go gradually into the darker colours. So I've done two sort of transitional colours, we call them. And then I'm going to go, let me check which colours I'd gone for. Right, fourth, right. So I'm going to palette 1, this one here. Okay, and I'm going to use a more specific brush. See, with this one, I've just used for general use on my lid. But when you're going to go into for some darker colours, like this one, you want a smaller brush. So I'm using this one, and it's very tightly packed as well, which means I can stipple the colour on. Steve. Yeah, see, were you going in with the dark colours first, Steve? Is that what was happening? Yeah. Right, so I'm going to go with this fourth right colour here. And I'm going to pop this, and I'm going to use like a stippling effect just in the corner here. And I'm going to start with like a V. So I'm going to go towards my lash line, and then I'm going to go up towards my crease like that in sort of a V. And you see what I mean about just putting a little bit on to start with and then building it up. So I'm building the colour up. And don't worry at the moment that it doesn't look blended or anything like that. You're just applying the colour for now. Okay, so I'm going to do that to start with. There. And I'm going to really try and concentrate just in that corner. And then, without putting any more on now, I'm going to go into that crease again. Just put some more in there. So just be careful when you've got your dark colours that you're not using like a really fluffy brush, because a really fluffy brush, it's just going to go like everywhere. You will always get some that comes down here, and we'll sort that out in a minute, so don't worry about that. But if you've got a really fluffy brush, you just can't concentrate the colour in the right areas. So you want something that's a bit more tightly packed and a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go right over into that corner again, and then again, windscreen wiper. Just backwards and forwards. Okay, and then I'm just going to go and put a little bit more on. Just in that corner again, like that. Okay, so I'm just stippling it like that. And then I'm going to go with my last colour, which is going to be my darkest colour, which is, where has it gone? Palette 2 again. This one here. And that one's called Cocky. So again, I'm going to use the same brush, and again, I'm just going to stipple into the corners there, just to get that far corner really nice and dark, and just a little bit into the crease. Okay. And then, once you think you've kind of got enough colour on there, you can start with the blending. So you want to use a completely separate, clean brush. And this is the one you want it to be, a fluffy brush. So I'm going to use something like this one here. Just realised oh no, it's there, look. That's the brush I want. So something like that. Sarah, that was Determined, then with a bit of Honourable over the top. So then I'm going to go in with some blending now. Not too much, because I've still got a little bit to do, but you just want to use, and again, you're going to use that kind of motion just so you can blend that all. You don't want to go too far towards your eyebrow, and then down here just use some circular motions, some backwards and forwards motions, just to blend that all in, so you can see how quickly that's blended in already. Don't worry too much about this. And then I'm going to put a shimmer colour on my actual lid, because I think that looks absolutely gorgeous. Now, using matte colours in your creases here just adds extra depth, so it's quite good to do that with a matte. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of the shimmer in here. So I'm using one of our mineral pots. These are gorgeous. This one's Confident. It's like a lovely shimmery bronze colour. Now, a good way if you're doing a colour that you really want to stand out just on your lid is to use something like a spongy brush, because then you can pat the colour down and it really packs it in. Now this is slightly damp from me cleaning it a minute ago, which is great for these mineral pots. If you use them slightly damp, your brush, then the colour just like, wow, pops out properly. So I'm just going to pack that colour on like that. Wet my brush a little bit more. Just using some rose water to wet my brush a tiny bit more there. Dried out a little bit. You'll perhaps see a difference now when I put it on. Yeah, there we go. So you can see there how much bolder and stronger that shimmer looks now that I've just wet my brush a little bit. So and again, I'm just dabbing the colour on just to get it sort of packed on and set. Like that. Okay, and I'm not going to go too far across because obviously I've done quite a lot of work over here. But now that I've done that, I'm going to go back with my crease brush, back with my darker colour, and I'm just going to do a little bit more work over here. Okay. And the secret, honestly, is it's all about the blending. So if you keep yourself a specific blending brush, then you're fine, because you just pop the colour on, like stipple it on, just get it on there, and then I think if you try and blend with the same brush you've been applying, you just end up putting more and more on, and that's where you get into trouble, and it's like, oh, it's way too much, you look like somebody smacked me in the eye. And so I'm just going to blend that in a little bit there so that that looks nice and even. Just blend it across there. Okay. And now we're going to look at the under eye. So you never really want to be using light colours under your eye, because that's making your eye look smaller and a little bit swollen, because you're bringing this area forwards, so it makes your eyes look swollen. So I'm going to use the same colours I've used above my eye. So I'm using that very first colour again, Determined, under there. It's just sweeping it across, right from there, sweeping it across. And then the next one, which was Honourable, which is this one here. So again, using the same colours in the same order for under the eye. I think the under eye actually is probably more difficult to get right than over the eye. Because I've always been worried about looking too heavy under the eye. But actually that is one of the keys to a smoky eye, I think. And now, when you're going in with your slightly darker colours, so I've finished my two transitional colours, your slightly darker colours, you want to use something like a liner brush, so you can see how lovely and thin that brush is. Oh, Mum, of course I'll do your makeup. You don't even have to, well, obviously you have to ask, else I wouldn't know that you wanted me to do it, but of course. Okay, and then you're just going to line, try and keep close-ish to your eyelash line. And sort of go up into the corner a bit there. And then you get your darkest colour. And with this one, I'm just going to go in that corner there. I'm not going to go right across. Just into that corner there. Okay? Right. So don't worry about all this, right? So we're going to give that a quick sweep. So always make sure you sweep it first, just to get the loose stuff off before you try and cover it up, because we're going to use the concealer to neaten all this bottom area up. But we're also going to, in fact, we'll do the concealer first, yeah. Okay. So, concealer. So there's a couple of ways of doing your concealer. You can use your fingers, you can use a brush, you can use a little blending bud. So I'm going to do a little bit with the blending bud and then probably a little bit with my fingers most likely. So I've just popped a tiny bit of concealer on my hand there, and this is just going to neaten that whole area out. And you want to sweep it up into that corner there. So you're starting to get a nice crisp line like I've got over that side. And this is great doing concealer afterwards, because you can hide so many things. You know, if you've made a mistake, gone too far down with the under eye bit, anything like that. That's what your concealer's there for. Okay. So, and then I will just pat that on. It's a good thing with a blending bud, you can sort of pat the concealer in, and that makes it really stay there. I'm just gonna do that there. There we go. Okay. Right, and then we're going to do just a tiny bit of highlighting. So I've got another mineral pot here. This is called Sexy. So that's going to just be a little highlighting on the inside of the eye and over there on the brow bone, because if you can perhaps see, there's a bit more product, darker product up there than there is on that side. So I'm going to sort that out. Yeah, Sarah, just going back to your comment, that's where your primer is important. If you've got good primer on, then your under eye makeup isn't going to go anywhere. And especially if you put your concealer on afterwards, yeah, you should be fine with that. And obviously, our products are amazing. So I'm just going to go up into that, just under the eyebrow area there, with this shimmery colour. So this is like a shimmery nude colour. And that's just helping to define that area up there. Okay, and I'll just do a little bit, get a little bit more in my pot. With these pots, you just sort of like shake them a bit to get some out, just for that inner corner as well. And that's just making your eyes pop a little bit more, just in there. Really making your eyes stand out. There we go. And then something that's quite nice to do as well is to do a liner that's in a very similar colour to your eyeshadows. So I'm going to choose the darkest colour that I did with my liner brush again. I'm just going to dampen my liner brush with some rose water. Just going to spritz it to do my eyeliner with it. So just get some product on it and then just dab it on like that to use as a liner. And it's quite good with smoky eyes because you don't really, well, it's nice to have a defined line with your eyeliner, but it's quite nice with a smoky eye if it's a little bit more blended, and that you can get that definitely with an eyeshadow as a liner, especially when it's the same colour as one you've been using. And you can just define that very edge at the bottom there a little bit more. There we go. A little bit of that, then I've just got some in my eye then I would pop a little bit of mascara on, obviously. Hi Dawn, you okay? So just pop a little bit of mascara on just to finish the look off. With a look like this, you want to put a little bit of mascara on your bottom lashes as well. So just a bit of mascara, a bit of fibres. There we go. Pop a little bit on my bottom lashes. So yeah, I think my top tips obviously are primer, definitely primer. Starting with a light colour and building up to your dark colour. So try and use 3 to 4 different colours before you get to your darkest colour. And then blending, so apply with one brush and then blend in with a different brush. Because it, like with loads of things, like with contouring, same with eyeshadow, it's the blending that makes all the difference. And then some fabulous lashes. That. I will just, where's that there? Just do this. Okay, I'll just sweep off a couple of fibres that I've got there. I will pop a tiny bit of blusher on. And what was the last thing I needed to do? Oh, and I will just line my waterline, because that, with smoky eyes, just lining your waterline with some black eyeliner just adds to that whole smoky effect again. There we go. That is, I know, yeah, I do need to go out now, don't I? In fact, yeah, all I'm going to do is just go and sit in the living room with Steve and watch a bit of TV. So it's ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, wish I was going out, but I'm not. There we go. I hope all my little tips helped. And yeah, if you're interested in any of the products I've used, just pop me a message. I'm always here to help. Or if you just want some general tips on doing a different look, then I hope you can contact me, and I genuinely just want to help out and offer some advice and things. So have a lovely evening, everybody, and I'll see you soon. Bye.